Here's a story. Today there was a power shortage, so it sort of they confused the whole order of the classes. But here we go. Story. A man came into the synagogue of the Rebbe of Ruzhin. The Rebbe of Ruzhin, this was like almost 200 years ago. The holy Rebbe of Ruzhin, called the Holy Halakha Ruzhin. Holy. He came into his synagogue and he was very aggravated that I missed the prayers, that I missed the prayers, that I missed the morning prayers. And they said, no, you didn't. You didn't miss the morning prayers. Everybody good. He said, good, because I have to say Kaddish for my father. Kaddish for my father. One second. I'll close the door. Yeah. I have to say Kaddish for my father. Now, in Judaism, there's a custom that if a person's parents pass away, God forbid, then, then one full year you try to say Kaddish for them. And also the anniversary of the passing, you say Kaddish. What is Kaddish? Kaddish is a special blessing which basically just praises God, just says that God is greater than any praises that we can possibly make because a person passes away. So it's basically the whole business is not understood why a person was born, why he passes away, but it's all in God's hands. So we're praising God. It's a praise. It's called Kaddish. So he says, I want to say Kaddish. I want to say Kaddish for my father. I'm willing to pay money. I'm willing to pay money. So they said, well, we finished praying, but you can say Kaddish. So he said Kaddish. Then the Rebbe came out and he said, one second, you just can't just say Kaddish for your father. You have to make a Kiddush. You have to make a L'chaim. He says, I'll make a L'chaim. He says, no, you have to, buy some fish and some cakes and some, you don't have to spend a lot of money, some vodka. And, then he said, listen, I don't really want to. I'll give you the money and you do it. I said, no. The Rebbe said, you have to do it yourself. You have to do it. And then you say L'chaim and you make a Kaddish. Then you'll say for your father's name. Then we'll say a Mishnah. We'll say something from the Torah. And then you'll say another Kaddish. So he said, okay, he's got no choice. Okay. So he gives them some money and they go and they buy some cakes and things like that. And they all sit down and they're now this fellow he himself was not religious at all. He had absolutely no use for the whole business, this religion with the Torah and the commandments and everything. But his father was religious, and he has certain honor for his father. Not only that, his mother was driving him crazy, so he should at least, he doesn't do anything else to honor his father, so at least he should do this. So okay, so he's sitting in this and in the meal, and they're all eating this little meal. And the Rebbe says to him, pours him a little cup of vodka, and he says, make a blessing on the vodka and say L'chaim. And so he's already fed up with this business. He's been in synagogue. He didn't want to come at all. And he's already been there for like a half an hour, which for him is like a half an hour too much. Every moment he just wants to just run away, but his father. So he said, listen, I'll give a donation. Just leave me alone. He said, listen, you can give a donation if you want to, but come on, say L'chaim, make a blessing on the vodka and say L'chaim. So he takes the vodka and all of a sudden he gets into this mood of defiance mood. No one's going to tell me what to do. What am I doing this stuff for? I did enough. And he doesn't make a blessing, and he says, he says the cheers, and he drinks the thing down, drinks the cup down. So that's enough. I'm going. So the Rebbe said, what did you do? What did you do? What have you done? What have you done? What did you do? He starts screaming and yelling. What is do? So this fellow doesn't realize exactly what's going on. I mean, what did he do different now than the last half an hour that he's been sitting there? What did he do? So what did he do? So the Rebbe said, don't you understand? Your father, his soul went up to heaven. And they said in heaven that he could go into heaven and get the biggest rewards. But the problem is because he has a son, I guess that's you, that is not doing anything Torah and commandments. So that really impedes his progress. The only way that he could fix it up is if he has to come back into this world and be reincarnated. So he was reincarnated not as a person, because a person can do sins. He doesn't want. He was a good person, but but he was reincarnated into a grain of wheat. Wheat. And this grain of wheat was waiting in the field, and it got cut, harvested with all the other wheat, and it got ground up. And some of it went to make bread. Some of it was went for, went for other, just the seeds, and some of it went to, make beer and liquor and vodka. And it happens to be that your father's that grain, the grain that your father was incarnated in, it went to a vodka factory, and it was ground up and put into made into vodka. And that vodka, that soul of your father, was in that cup that you drank. And if you would have just made a blessing and said l'chaim on that cup, that would have fixed up your father's soul. And now, because you didn't even do that minor thing, so that little minor blemish, which was on your father's soul because of you, has not yet been fixed up. And who knows what is going to be fixed up. At that point, the young man realized that the Rebbe was really speaking the truth, and that there was much more to life than than meets the eye. And at that point, he had a big major change in his life to look at things from the way that his father looked at, and not the way that he looks at himself. What's the point of the story? The point of the story is that the reason that we're here in this world is to accomplish certain benefits to the world. And if we don't do it, so the soul comes back. Like we said so many times before, life is not short. Life is very, very long. The soul, in fact, never dies. It goes from one body into another body into another body until it fixes things up. And sometimes it becomes reincarnated into even animals and even into plants. And here was an example of plants in order to fix up what it was lacking in its service. But after all the service has been done, is then there will be cause for the raising of the dead. All of the dead will raise up, and there'll be nothing left to do except to appreciate the creator of the universe. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, thank you very much for coming. Now let's do the Yom Yom. We'll do the Yom Yom.